In the dawn of gaming, one university lab in Austin changed the game. Meet Decwar, built in 1978 on a PDP-10 at the University of Texas at Austin. It wasn't just a pastime. It was a shared battlefield where multiple players waged interstellar war in real time. Decwar evolved from a two-player title called War, itself inspired by early Star Trek simulations.
Walk back to 2. Bring us to course 148 Mark 3.
But this wasn't a duel anymore. Decwar turned time-shared mainframes into living, many-player space battlefields. And its mechanics and culture fed commercial airs like CompuServe's Mega Wars, early hints of today's persistent online worlds. Recently, the original code resurfaced and was revived under emulation, prompting fresh study. Historians and computer scientists are dissecting the code base and rebuilding Decwar with modern tools. Dr. Noah Smith, a 2012 graduate of the University of Texas at Austin with a PhD in aerospace engineering, shares his knowledge of space war, the game that paved the path for Decwar to begin.
Space War was developed around '62 at MIT. It was the first real video game. It had to run on very special hardware, though. The PDP-1 came with a video display that was based on an old radar display. Then in the late 60s, Star Trek was on TV.
Star Trek inspired many games throughout the 60s and 70s, but none could truly hold a candle to the advancements Decwar achieved. Anyone who played it quickly came to understand its novelty, because up until then, nothing like it existed. One of its early players, Harris Newman, details his first encounter with Decwar and why it left a unique impression on the history of modern technology.
The common game that was on a lot of computers was Star Trek. I even played that on teletype machines back when UT had some. Decwar had a command line. Star Trek was more prompting, and you'd enter letters. There were aspects to Decwar that made it even more unique. For example, you could stack commands, so you could almost program. It was one of the first games that had chat versus Trek, which was a single user. Same with Adventure or any of the other games that were out there. And it was actually team-oriented, which was also kind of unique. I was kind of in awe that somebody wrote this in their spare time, basically, was able to make such an advanced program.
First, started as a passion project between Bob Heisick and Jeff Potter in the basement of the UT Tower, Decwar's creators couldn't have possibly envisioned their game lasting beyond their time. However, its team-based gameplay, competitive nature, and intense narrative foreshadowed modern online gaming of the future and influenced the design of multi-gaming environments. It is hard to believe such an ambitious staple almost disappeared into the folds of history, and if it weren't for its impact on the minds of its players, Decwar's memory would be nothing but a footnote.
Harris Newman, he was very persistent, trying to get a hold of Decwar. In 1995, someone sent him an email that had CompuServe's version of Decwar.
I got a email from someone saying, here it is. Sure enough, it was the code to Decwar. Once I got the source code, one of the things that said in there that the license for you to distribute it, that you had to have approval from the authors. I was able to get in contact with one of the authors, and then I saw that the Briscoe library came into existence. I figured, UT is the original owner of the source code, so I might as well hand it back to them and let them publish it.
Today, Decwar has been revived with the combined efforts of Dr. Noah Smith, Professor Eric Freeman at the University of Texas at Austin, and his class of passionate arts and entertainment technology students. The revival of Decwar is also combined with new graphics, sounds, and technologies to make it more enjoyable to new audiences who may be accustomed to the modern developments in gaming, while still celebrating the versions of yesterday.
Eric Freeman's Decwar JS is a simulation of Decwar based on the latest technology. Right, at the same time, there's a whole group of people going backwards. I'm one of those people. That's part of what we're doing. So we're going forwards and we're going backwards with the original Decwar.
Today, as Decwar continues to live on through the people who refuse to let it die, Decwar becomes a testament to the ingenuity of the human mind.